All right, guys, Baba Yaga here. Follow me on Twitter if you would like to, uh, with a video coming to you from Vanta Trading. So, we're doing this video. Normally, all the content that we make, almost all the content is exclusive for our Discord channel, but we're going to do a video tonight, just reviewing some of the context around today's trades that we did in the room, as well as some context around just a way to organize information on the chart that hopefully you'll find helpful going forward. So if you haven't yet, go to our website. We have a 7-day free trial. We'd love for you to come by, visit with us for a week, see if there's anything we can help you with, anything that you might find helpful, and then yeah, see if it's a good fit for you. But we're gonna do this video just to help uh, with some context. So coming into today, one of the things that I like to keep up with, and coming into today, a couple things that were on my radar is one, we had an old balance area that we fell out of right around 2775. We'll call it 2750 for the sake of this video. So um, opening up today, we had a few things that stood out to me. Obviously, always Euro high and Euro low, as well as Asia high and Asia low. But Asia high already been traded through. So Asia high being traded through kind of removes it from the picture for the most part. So, but any session highs or lows, whether they're an ultimate swing high like this, or whether they're just a random spot in the hourly chart, um, I want to keep up with those. One of the things that Banks talks a lot about in his trading style is where's liquidity resting and how far the market will move or how the market moves to go pick up liquidity. And I think that's a very important question. A lot of folks, um, myself included, that hasn't always been primary at the front of my trading and the front of my organizing of information. I'm always keeping up with swing highs and swing lows on various time frames, but to keep up with session highs and session lows is kind of a sneaky, um, kind of an intuitive thing for banks. And I just think like it's something that's a good thing to do. It helps paint a picture of where liquidity may be resting. It helps paint a picture of kind of goals. When you think of like buyers having a goal, right? Buyers having a goal of breaking a swing high, but buyers also having a goal of breaking a session high. And those are two different things sometimes. For example, this RTH high is not a swing high per se, but it is a session high. So those kind of things, where's liquidity resting? Obviously, there's some liquidity. There's some going to be some positions that were sell to open that are going to be buy to close hanging out up here. Also, just mentally, as we approach a prior day session, there'll be people who are going to snap off of this and their stops will be just above it, right? And that's not a bad idea, generally speaking, but maybe not one that I would subscribe to. But so then when that session high doesn't hold, those stops are just above and it can create these pretty strong pushes, as well as having the momentum today as we put in this news and then didn't trade through the low of it off the 8:30 news. So we kind of had this bullish posturing coming through from the overnight into RTH. So a lot of people, some people in our room, were long from pre-market off of the failed press lower, or just off the news, like how the news unfolded in this hourly candle, created an opportunity to rebid this move and be long coming into the open. Myself, I wasn't long pre-market, and I wasn't really excited about long, so I wanted to see what we did pressing through or at least challenging either overnight high, most closely this balance area high, which was not too far off from where we opened the market actually. We opened just below it. And so I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about slamming longs into balance area low, even though we fell out of it and are in a new balance area. But yeah, so I was on the sidelines for this long, and was waiting to see how do we interact through um, overnight high, RTH high, and not being afraid that if I don't snap bid right off the 30-second OR, that I'm going to be sidelined all day. If that happens, that happens. But there were potential. There's other ways to hitch your wagon to a trade, other ways for things to set up, and so I was trying to be patient, and also wanted to again see how do we interact with this, knowing that there's resting liquidity. Are we going to go grab that and then fail? And if we were going to grab that and fail, what would that look like? Obviously, now coming into the open, we didn't have this everything that's inside this gray box here that you can see. That was obviously after the open. With this being an hourly chart, we overlap the open between 9 and 10. But I think you get the idea, at least, of having all of these levels organized and knowing that while there's a lot of bid side activity pressing us up, there's also potential for peaking and sweeping liquidity and not finding acceptance. And if that happens, with this being such a strong push, with ES being a no tick OR, I was nervous for shorting up here, but NQ was not a no tick OR. ES stayed above the 30-second low that was created off the open. NQ did not. It peaked below it to start with. So um, I thought NQ might be vulnerable to a reversion trade with these swing highs. So as we came into the open, obviously we pressed higher. I sat on the sidelines with kind of curious at how we would interact with this and ultimately this. And you can see that we failed out in this area. Banks was talking about this area being pretty important this morning when he came on. That really he was talking about the 440s, um, being that they were euro highs as well as that they were vulnerable for a peak and pullback. So if we came into an area, how would we get positioned for a trade? So we'll go over that real quick. Talk about trade that we did take in the room, or that myself and others took in the room. And so as we came up to this untested euro high, and again, can't stress the importance enough of if it's untested or tested. And these were cleanly untested. So prime places for liquidity sweeps. We push up here. We get this green candle. If you watched my video on Delta, it's on our YouTube channel. It's one of the ones we released publicly after having it for the room for a while. Um, this is greater than 200 positive delta inside a 512 trade chart, so pretty strong. So strong buying coming into this chunk of euro highs here. And when we pull back below it, this is the first thing that catches my eye, right? I don't want to have to squint and find a position. I want it to kind of stand out, right? And we come back inside there and we can see the buyers are trying to be thick on the bid, and the at market activity is to the sell side. So these orange dots are market sells, slamming into pretty thick liquidity. We peak below that and push back up. The most aggressive move would have been to pile in right here at the fail of the retake of this old euro high. Um, these blue and red signifies speed of tape, and this chart was originally and still is kind of built to help me not have to look at another monitor to see the DOM while I'm trading. So kind of informs me of the pace of tape. It's just a little something, little study that I put together. So as we push down, we come back up, find aggressive sellers. Would have been a decent spot. I wanted to wait and see a little bit. Again, waiting on a larger time frame setup in the mornings is something I've been trying to practice as a form of discipline. So waiting for something with a little more information than a 512 trade chart could give me. Although I have this hourly chart painting a pretty cool picture, at least in this area, of a potential like peak above and fail. And then we get pulled back this deep down to like 408, and again we see that at market activity is to the sell side. The bid side is thick there, absorbing these orders. We press back up and test again, and it was upon when we tested this and we pushed down so aggressively with this candle, which signifies greater than 200 negative delta in 500 trades, that's a wide bar for that. And so I was very interested in what we were going to do after this, especially if we tested back below here. So this became my main area of focus, seeing that we'd already tested this. With this context laid against this context, laid against the backdrop of wanting to see if we had a liquidity sweep and no acceptance, I was looking for shorts at this point. Again, have to be careful on a day when ES is a no tick off the 30-second OR to try to fade something. So you have to have a larger picture painting something like this that makes sense, as well as more fine, detailed context to lean on. We came down here, pulled down. I think I started a position here on this failed retest of this aggressive tape speed. Push down, push back up. I normally like to keep about a 10 to 15 point stop. So this push up and this push up probably were just collecting stops. Unfortunately, um, I was still sitting in this trade, um, or fortunately, I was still sitting in this trade because my kind of line in the sand was, what do we do with this? Stops are resting for me just above here, off of this entry, and then we test again one more time as we began to accelerate down through the 400 psych level or into it. I added the other half of my position and then look to scale along the way down. Now, what I didn't do is hold this for the entirety of this move. But once I got positioned, I scaled out as we came back through to this 27 to 37 area at this old balance area low. Just on the off chance that we held that and continued higher, I didn't want to be holding the bag. I didn't want to be holding trades. We tried to trade advance. Normally, I'll leave runners on. Today, I did not. Kind of bit me in the tail a little bit, but um, we want to get most of our business done. We want to get paid within about 50 points. At least I do. Average rotations on NQ are in that 40 point to 45 point range, probably a little wider today. And so when you think of the day type that could have developed and the positioning of that trade, it could have been like a backside trade that eventually got ran through. So the idea of scaling out of the position inside of that or around that 40 to 50 point range. And then normally I would leave a runner on or something like that. But today, scaled it all out. No harm, no foul. Sure, we missed out on a lot more downside. Some people in the room inevitably took part in that. But for me to be finished by lunchtime or right around there is definitely something that I'm a big fan of. To be finished before, to be finished honestly as quick as I can to enjoy the rest of the day. So hopefully you find this helpful, painting a picture of where are session highs and lows, not just swing highs and lows, and then keeping up with those. Obviously, this one is gone now. This one is gone now. This is gone now, and then these I'll leave just to copy paste and pull around. Um, but but yeah, so going into tomorrow, I would recommend just not as a trade idea for you necessarily, but just begin to mark your session highs and lows and watch how we interact with them. Or go back in time, mark your session highs and lows, and see how we interact with how we have interacted with them in the past. Um, if you find this helpful, if this kind of content is something that you'd like more of, we'd love for you again. Come check us out, advancedtrading.com. You can click through there, join our Discord. There's a free trial, 7 days. We don't take credit card information or anything on that. In fact, we never really even see that information. So we'd love for you to come spend a week with us, get a feel for the room, check out some of the other content, meet some of the other traders that are in there. Some great traders, some traders that are, um, you know, finding success and have been trading for a while. We also have our fair share of traders that are new and trying to get a handle on their process and how they fit into the market. Hopefully this helps you in your journey and your process towards that. And yeah, reach out to me on Twitter if you have any questions. We'll see you in the Discord.